Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. We are back with yet another Chelsea tier list from the Bangkok, Thailand hotel room. I'm sweaty. Take a look at this green curry that was just consumed a mere 15 minutes ago. It was delicious. Enough about the food. We move into the safe and unsafe video. We're going to try and establish today, based on the relevance of the context that we've given to Enzo Maresca'S playing style, his footballing philosophy, we're going to take a look at 30 current Chelsea players. We're going to decipher whether or not they are key in Maresca'S plan, safe in the squad, unsafe, could they be sold, and gone. These are the players that I absolutely expect to not be involved in Chelsea's first team squad this season. If you enjoy the tier list, please let me know by smacking a like on this video. And I think 40% of you that watch these videos are still not subscribed to the George Benson football channel. So if you enjoy what you see, what you hear, and what we're going on about here, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell so that you don't miss any of my uploads. This is the graphic that we're working with, and we begin with a man that I genuinely think is gone from Chelsea. I think Sanchez, I don't see a future for him under Enzo Maresca. We're rumoured to believe at the moment that Chelsea and Maresca want a goalkeeper that can play out from the back, good with his feet, good in tight positions as well. If, particularly with Chelsea, I've seen hospital passes galore at times in the last few years. We want a goalkeeper that can get us out of trouble. And Sanchez, distribution-wise, with the ball at his feet, I don't think is a good enough goalkeeper. So, is it time, before he obviously doesn't get used because Maresca won't fancy him, is it time now to cash in, take the loss on the 25 million that we spent, get 15 million, 10 million back if we can, and see where we go from there? At the end of the video, by the way, we'll go through the loanees. These are the really interesting ones. Marcus Bettinelli. Ironically, he's in the safe category. I don't really see a world where Bettinelli leaves. He was been the third choice goalkeeper since he came, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be happy to continue bringing the vibes to Chelsea Football Club. Petrovic is unsafe for now because he is the number one. And the question is Petrovic going to be able to improve quick enough to be able to be good enough with the ball at his feet for an Enzo Maresca team? I am not entirely sure. We definitely saw improvements in that department. I think when it comes to talking about Petrovic on the ball, we've got to use the word calmness. Is he calm? Does he look composed when the ball is at his feet? Does he just get rid of it when the time is necessary? Or does he faff around and put us in under pressure and in trouble? And I would say that it's not perfect as of yet. So I think Petrovic is unsafe. I do think there will be a new goalkeeper coming into Chelsea this season. Axel Disasi. Look, we've got a lot of centre-backs still at the club, even with Silva leaving, Chalobah leaving. And I'm not sure about Axel Disasi, you know. I feel as though Maresca's going to want players that can step up, play on the front foot. And when we talk in a later video about another Enzo Maresca setup that I've been doing some research on, I've got this amazing stat side that I've been using recently, comparing all of our midfielders. And I've got us a banging team to go through. And Axel Disasi, in my opinion, is nowhere near a Chelsea starting 11. Pochettino used him a lot last season. He was playing a lot of games before that end of season injury. But I would say that Disasi right now is unsafe. I think we need defenders that are kind of better at coming out with the ball, carrying the ball out from defensive areas. And I would say that Disasi is more of just like that. The ball comes into the box, he's going to get his noggin on it and head it away kind of defender. Not necessarily a ball player. Benoit Badiashile, I've put in the safe category because we don't have an abundance of left-footed centre-backs at the club. So, as much as I would say Badiashile and Disasi are probably on a par, and maybe for the vibe reason you put Disasi above Badiashile, but from a footballing aspect, I think Badiashile is more safe because you don't get so many left-footed centre-backs. So, we move into Chalobah, who is obviously unsafe. Not necessarily because he wouldn't fit into an Enzo Maresca system. I actually feel as though if the club weren't so hell-bent on selling Trevor Chalobah, I would say that he'd be safe. Not a key player because I still think there are better ball-playing centre-backs maybe at the club than him. We're going to go through those in a second. But I think Chalobah is unsafe simply because Chelsea want to coop that 25 million profit for him. Ben Chilwell is also unsafe, I'm saying here. Unsafe because, as we know, with Enzo Maresca teams, if you watch the How Chelsea setup video, you'll know this. Inverted fullbacks, the way that we saw Marc Cucurella just become a different player towards the end of the season. And I'm actually concerned about Chilwell. I think for a couple of years now, since he won the Champions League, that injury record is a disaster. And when he's playing, he's not up to that level that we saw him when we won the Champions League. So I think just in general, whether it is fitting into an Enzo Maresca team or whoever it would have been taken over, I think Chilwell's Chelsea future is actually in jeopardy right now. So he goes into the unsafe category. The first key player that we discuss here in this video is Reece James. If you look at a Leicester side, the inverted fullback isn't the left-sided player. It's been Danilo Pereira, the right back at Leicester. He likes to invert with the right side. And if that is Reece James, we have been saying for years, after seeing Trent Alexander-Arnold step up in that Klopp team, John Stones stepping up into like a more defensive midfield or even just a midfield role in general, if Reece James is the man that Enzo Maresca decides to call into that inversion, then I think we're going to see the best out of Reece James. And I think when it comes to that conversation that we're going to talk about in this video, but a lot more in a video that's going to come out either later today or tomorrow on the channel, Enzo Maresca loves to have a player in that kind of holding role of the midfield who is going to touch the ball over 100 times a game. The discussion is, will that be a Caicedo? Could it be an Enzo? Who's going to be potentially a lone pivot player? I think Reece James, with the ability that he has, if he can stay fit, I think if there is less emphasis on him bombing up and down the wing as a right back or a wing back, I think if you bring him more central, not only does that assure the Chelsea backline and probably a Caicedo playing in a 6 role, I also think it could preserve Reece James. So I think Reece will be absolutely key in an Enzo Maresca team. Marc Cucurella is safe, in my opinion. We've said already that he likes to invert the right back as opposed to the left back. But even if it is Cucurella, we have seen that he is more than good enough to do that inverted role. And as much as people have said that maybe Chelsea might want to sell Cucurella because he's a high wage earner at the club, I think Maresca will look at that end of season form and consider Cucurella one of the key mainstays for next season. Wesley Fofana, if he can stay fit, the bloke is safe. When it comes to those ball-playing centre-backs, if we look at Disasi there in the unsafe section of the tier list, Wesley Fofana on the ball is a brilliant defender. He loves to step up. Maybe not the kind of Kurt Zouma versus Ajax run. You remember that one? Just throwing that in there for the memories, really. As it is the 29th of May, the day we won the Champions League 3 years ago. Unbelievable scenes. If Fofana can stay fit, I think he's going to have a big season. A breakthrough season at Chelsea. Alfie Gilchrist, I'm sad to say this, but don't worry. I'm not saying sell him. Alfie Gilchrist is in the gone category because I think it's destined for him to go on a loan next season. I think a good loan, if he can get a Premier League loan, fantastic. If not, a top championship loan, then he can come back to Chelsea and be part of the squad. Alfie's in the gone category for next season, but through no fault of his own. If we're buying 2 more centre-backs, look, it basically means that he's going to be this season. He only got minutes really because of injuries, let's be fair. As good as I think he is and he can be, I'm hoping that Chelsea don't get the same amount of injuries this season. We move into Levi Colwill. And I was thinking about safe or key. And I think Enzo Maresca will want to start building a Chelsea spine. And if you look at the keepers, there's no one who's key here. And I think a goalkeeper is key to the way that Maresca wants to play. So that means a goalkeeper signing, right? So we've got a fullback there who's a key player. Reece James, he's Chelsea's captain. Great player, as we know. Levi, I think, can also be key. When it comes to that ability on the ball, the ability to be able to play a pass forwards, and if there is going to be an inversion on that left side, if it's Cucurella, Chelsea are going to want someone who is quick, has the speed to be able to cover Marc Cucurella, and I think Levi Colwill has got that. He was unfortunate in the second half of last season to be plagued by those injuries, but I think when it comes to Chelsea looking to build a spine, and now we've got a manager on a 5+1 year deal, we're going to want to see a Chelsea team that can coherently be there for a long time. And I think Levi Colwill is the man. He's got the number 26 shirt. We know what that means. And I think under Enzo Maresca, where Chelsea will keep the ball, patient in the build-up, he's going to get it a lot more, being passed backwards. He's got that ability to play those line-breaking passes, but also comfortable in possession. So Levi Colwill is key. Malo Gusto is safe just because Malo Gusto can play it on the right or the left-hand side. I'm not going to say key because I think Reece James is literally perfect for that role. And I don't think you can have both Reece James and Malo Gusto as key. Or maybe you can, because Reece James is suspended for the start of the season. Gusto's a phenomenal player. And Reece James staying fit, it's like, well, I've got no wood to touch. It's a marble desk that we've got here. So, touch wood, Reece James doesn't get injured again, but Malo Gusto is in safe. Enzo Fernandez. I've been waiting for this one because I really want to talk about Enzo Fernandez. Just from a Chelsea level and what the new manager Enzo Maresca has been brought in to do. He will be brought in to try and get the best out of Chelsea's technical players. A possession-based manager comes into Chelsea, looks at Enzo Fernandez, and not a single manager in world football who has a possession-based philosophy looks at Enzo Fernandez and is like, "Nah, you know what, mate? You can stay over there. Don't play for me. You're not playing for me." Enzo Fernandez will be a key player for Enzo Maresca. It's going to be key to establish early whether or not a 4-2-3-1 with a double pivot is going to be how you fit Enzo in. Will it be Enzo as more of an advanced 8 playmaking kind of player with a lone pivot? I'm going to talk about more than that in the next video. Enzo Fernandez absolutely could be that Enzo Maresca player who touches the ball over 100 times per game. It's something we're going to compare to the Leicester players. Obviously, like comparing Harry Winks to Enzo Fernandez is like comparing a flipping, what's a dead chocolate bar? I'm going to piss everybody off here. In my book, it's like comparing a Bounty, which is unbelievable, to a Galaxy, which is very bang average. If you know, you know. Enzo Fernandez has a massive part to play in an Enzo Maresca Chelsea team. Mudryk, I've put in the safe category, mainly because it's the right side of the pitch that is absolutely stacked looking forward. I think the left side, Mudryk towards the end of the season, positionally, was doing well. In terms of that overall output and the way that he impacted matches by himself, he needs to improve massively. And I think a manager that allows Chelsea to keep the ball, be patient, I think we'll see Mudryk drift inside a lot more next season. I think Mudryk is safe. But again, I think Enzo Maresca will be ruthless when it comes to the delivery. Mudryk has got to improve. It's as simple as that. Conor Gallagher is unsafe simply because Chelsea are desperate to sell him. We have spoken about this no end on GBFC all season long. Gallagher's been such a great player for us. I don't want to see him sold. I certainly think that there is a role for him in that advanced 8 role if Chelsea are playing with a 4-3-3. Whether it's Caicedo deeper alongside Enzo, Gallagher can do a bit more of the running, the pressing, and some of the stats that we've seen this season for defensive actions for Conor Gallagher in the final third to win the ball back for Chelsea, to create opportunities then for the offloads to the Maduekis, the Palmers, the Nkunkus, the Jacksons. Gallagher's work rate is fantastic. And I think we've got to get it out of our heads here when people get triggered, when people just use work rate. Well, work rate means defensive actions in the final third, getting shots away. Gallagher does that. Still improvements, not saying he's a perfect footballer, but of course, with the way that we're running this football club, Gallagher has to be in the unsafe category. Carney Chukwuemeka I've also put in the unsafe category, simply because I'm not entirely sure what we're going to get from Carney, because last season, when he started to break into the team at the start of the year under Pochettino, scored that great goal against West Ham, we were looking at Chukwuemeka thinking, now is your time. You've got a place in the team. What actually are you? Are you going to be a number 10? Are you going to be a number 8? Could you be like a second striker at times whilst joining the attacks? What is Carney's role? And I think with an Enzo Maresca midfield, it is so well defined what those roles are. I think it was Ndidi, Dewsbury Hall, and Harry Winks were the main ones that he was using last season. Everybody in that team has a distinct role, and nobody is unaware of what their position is, what their role and job is in the team, and what they need to do in and out of possession. And I think with Chukwuemeka, that's why I put him in the unsafe category, because I think he's one of those unfortunate players right now in the Chelsea squad who's still kind of figuring it out. And will he get the minutes? Will he stay fit? Leslie Ugochukwu, I think, is gone. I think he needs a loan move this season. There's not really enough for him with Romeo Lavia, a man we'll talk about later, coming back into the fold, returning from injury. And I think Leslie Ugochukwu, as much as he had a good season, if you remember the tier list where we ranked the players' performances from last season, I think similarly to Carney Chukwuemeka, I think it's about figuring out what Leslie Ugochukwu's role will be with a meticulous manager on the sidelines. So I think Ugochukwu will go. Moises Caicedo is also key. Look, for any Chelsea manager, if it's Maresca or whoever else was coming in, it was always going to be a major caveat in that job interview that said, you've got to find a way to get the best out of Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. It's not like the old England issue where it was like, you got Gerrard and Lampard, maybe it doesn't work, maybe one of them won't play, whatever. Chelsea, they have to play both of these guys. If they don't, then, one of them will leave, will make a massive loss on them. And I think they will probably both stay fit. Caicedo isn't out injured that often. Enzo, ironically, was injured all season, but now that hernia is sorted, I think he should be fine. If he can play through that with injections all year, then I don't think we've got ourselves an injury-prone player. And again, I think whether it is a lone pivot, discussion for the next video. I've highlighted that a lot in this video, but that is coming your way. Caicedo could do that lone pivot role. He could be that player that was the Harry Winks in that Leicester team that won the league, that has the ball often, gets the ball progressively passing forwards. It would then allow the reign of Enzo to be a bit more advanced, to be able to make that killer pass a bit more, which he absolutely needs to bring into his game. Caicedo is going to be key. We know how great he was at the end of this season, and there's no doubts in my mind he'll do it again. Romeo Lavia is also in the safe category. Look, the bloke's only played 32 minutes in a Chelsea shirt last season, which ain't good enough, but he's been injured. What can we do? Romeo Lavia has worked under Enzo Maresca before. Enzo Maresca knows how to unlock this guy. And I think if Lavia does come back and he starts the season well, gets into a good stride, gets into good form, then I think the brilliant problem is going to be, we have got a stacked midfield. Can we fit Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo all together? Or is Lavia just going to have to be patient and wait for his opportunities? I think he's safe, and I would absolutely say this now. Having not even seen a training session, Enzo Maresca's not met the squad yet. Lavia is going to cook next season. I'm telling you now. We move into Cole Palmer. If this guy doesn't go into the key category, then, I fully expected you to turn the video off, unsubscribe from the George Benson football channel, not like the video. Basically, all of the things I want you to do, if I would have put Cole Palmer anywhere other than key, I would have fully expected you to do the aforementioned. What a player. What an absolutely phenomenal player. He's worked under Enzo Maresca before, and as much as I think his role will be different, it might not be as free, which could absolutely restrict him in the way that he was just scoring goals for fun, getting loads of assists last season. I still think on that right wing is where we might see him in a 4-3-3 Enzo Maresca side. And there's no way with a player of that ability that Enzo Maresca doesn't look at how Cole has developed last season from what he knew about him before at City and make him a massive, massive target man for Chelsea this season. I don't mean target man in the sense of like a number 9, lump the ball to him and he will score. More just get the ball to Palmer and you'll see things happen. We will score goals and win football matches. It's simple with a player of that ability. Raheem Sterling. Now, this is where you might turn off the video. But trust me, Raheem Sterling, again, is another man that has worked under Enzo Maresca before. And think about what we know about when Sterling has been the most effective. He's either arriving into the box to score a tap-in, or he's making that final pass from the byline to the striker to score the tap-in. Classic Manchester City goal. Erling Haaland from 3 yards out cannot miss. That is what I think Enzo Maresca is going to try and do that will be similar to what we know of a Pep Guardiola team. And I think this style absolutely suits Sterling so much more. And as much as I'm not like just expecting us to go out there and blitz teams the Guardiola way, I don't think that's going to happen. I do think it could be a slog at the start and it could be a slow burner. But I can see Sterling being a key figure. Enzo Maresca wasn't working with such a young squad at Leicester. And I think as much as I've said towards the end of the season, sell Sterling, I didn't think he was playing well. He came good towards the end. And I think Maresca will be looking at the squad and calling upon experience in whichever way means he can. Sterling fits that bill. He's in the key category. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Noni Madueke is also safe. Maresca, similar to what we saw from Poch at the end of the season, he loves his wingers to stay out wide, hug that touchline. We've seen Madueke do that before to stretch the game, allowing space in those half spaces for your Palmers, your Nkunkus, your Jacksons. I think Noni Madueke is safe, and I think he could actually be a very dangerous player next season. Christopher Nkunku. This is one of those where actually I wanted to put him in the safe category, but because of how good he is, and how good Chelsea look when he's fit, Christopher Nkunku was brought in as a marquee signing for last season. A world-class forward that scores goals, is the best finisher at the club in my opinion. I think Cole Palmer's got a wand of a left foot, but his finishing can still improve, which is the mad thing about Cole Palmer. But Nkunku should be seen as a key player for Chelsea. And my question, which I'm still deliberating because I'm waiting to release this video tomorrow because I'm just studying a little bit more of the in-depth stats here for Nkunku. I'm concerned about what Nkunku's position is going to actually be if Chelsea do bring in a striker. Because I think there is definitely an argument to be had where Nkunku could play on the left, but if Chelsea bring in an Osimhen or a Seshko, then maybe it's left wing for Nicholas Jackson. And obviously Jackson I don't think is as complete of a footballer as Nkunku is. But he's certainly, I think, a bit more direct, potentially. It's a big debate here, but I think Nkunku is just such a great player. Enzo Maresca has got a footballing brain about him. It will be his job to figure out the best role for Christopher Nkunku in this Chelsea team. We have now got 7 players in the key section. Let me know your thoughts on all of them in the comments down below. Nicholas Jackson goes into the safe category. To be quite honest, I think we've already said this and overdone this on the channel this week, but I think Enzo Maresca was generally, as much as that inexperience is a big thing, Enzo Maresca was a safe appointment for the profile of players in this Chelsea squad. My concern with Jackson is that I think he thrived under Pochettino this season because there was so much freedom given by Pochettino to those front players. And I think Jackson loves the drop in deep, which is also an element of an Enzo Maresca team. The striker comes in to help overload the middle of the park when the opposition are trying to overload us in the middle. Maresca wants that striker to drop in. Whether or not we sign a new striker this summer could depend on the role that Jackson is given. Is it from the bench? Is it from out wide? Will he stay up top? I think Jackson is safe. I think his first season at Chelsea was more than good enough to suggest so. Cesare Casadei. At the moment, I think he's similar to Kane Chukwuemeka, where as much as Enzo Maresca has used Casadei, because Casadei was on loan at Leicester last season until January, I think it's about, at the moment, Maresca's going to have enough players that already have identified what they're good at, what they're not so good at, what they can bring to a system of his. And I think Casadei is one of those players where, well, what is he right now? Is he a more defence-minded midfielder? Is he a more progressive attacking midfielder? Those are my questions. Will Chelsea be in the market potentially looking for players that are more defined to what Enzo Maresca wants? We'll have to wait and see. He's not gone, but he is unsafe. Amari Hutchinson, just because of the sheer number of wingers that we actually might have. Angelo Gabriel we're going to talk about in a minute too. I think that there will be offers for Hutchinson this summer. As much as I don't want this to happen, I just think that Hutchinson will be gone. I think as much as that we're about to hopefully give him a new deal to extend that deal until 2026, I think if an offer of 25 odd million came in for Hutchinson, I think Chelsea say yes. It's not what I want to see, but that's what I predict is going to happen. Andre Santos, also brilliant end to the season at Strasbourg. The man looks like the real deal. And I think profile-wise, I definitely think he could be useful in a double pivot for a Maresca Chelsea team. But I also think he's going to be gone. I think that Chelsea, in this window, there's going to be some surprises. There's going to be some players that we think could do really well. And there is a world here where, for me, it's between, there could be a Gallagher, Chukwuemeka, Casadei, Santos, keep 2, lose 2. And I just think maybe with Santos, it could well be another loan. Because we've not seen him play in English football yet. He didn't get a chance at Nottingham Forest. Strasbourg's one thing, but the Premier League's another. All about the pre-season here. If Andre Santos can prove to Enzo Maresca that when Maresca is homing in on that philosophy, it's literally going to be like the way that I'm envisaging this Chelsea team going. It's like Harry Potter. You know that first scene when all the kids arrive at Hogwarts? I feel as though Maresca's philosophy, they might not be looking in awe at first, but like it's going to be a bit like that. And throughout the years and throughout the months and the weeks and the training sessions, they're going to start to learn a few spells. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's what it's going to be with this Chelsea team. Andre Santos is gone. I don't want that, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Angelo Gabriel is also gone, in my opinion. I think as much as he didn't have a bad loan this season, I think that there's definitely going to be a chance where it'll be between Cole Palmer and Madueke for the right-hand side, Mudryk and Sterling for the left. Chelsea are also in the market still for another winger in this transfer window. So I just realistically don't see Angelo Gabriel being there. He's also obviously very young too. So it could be a struggle. The whole squad is still flipping young. Just got to really hope that Enzo Maresca'S ideas come across, don't we? Kepa Arrizabalaga, gone. Look, I've seen some people say that Kepa could come back. He could... No, absolutely not. Kepa might be able to do something with his feet, but at the same time, if you shoot from outside the 18-yard box, it's going in the back of the net. I'm sick of that. I'm tired of that. He wanted out. Real Madrid didn't want him. Lunin or whatever his name is took over the spot. He couldn't keep in the team. Kepa's not good enough. It's time to leave Chelsea, and I think this could finally be that window. This is your safe, unsafe, key player and gone tier list for Enzo Maresca'S Chelsea squad before a single signing has been made, before a single loan has been given, a single player has been sold. I would love to hear your thoughts based on your knowledge of Enzo Maresca'S football. What you think of this tier list? What would you change? Who are the key players for you? Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to GBFC if you are new and haven't already done so. Smack a like on this one for me as well. And I'll catch you guys in a bit.